You know when you look at a bottle of medicine and you see that huge, long list of inactive ingredients in tiny print? It kind of looks like a bunch of random chemicals, right? Well, what if I told you that list is actually the secret recipe that makes your medicine work? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret life of these hidden helpers.
I mean, really think about it. The pill itself is way bigger than the tiny little bit of drug you actually need. So what is all that other stuff doing in there? Is it just filler? Well, not even close. Those so-called inactive ingredients are on a super critical mission. And without them, most medicines would be, well, pretty much useless or even dangerous.
The easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think about it like you're cooking dinner. The active ingredient, the part that actually fights your headache, that's the main course. It's the steak. But you wouldn't just throw a plain piece of meat on a plate, would you? Of course not. You need the salt, the spices, the oil to cook it in. All those things are the inactive ingredients. They're what scientists call pharmaceutical aids, and they're what make the final dish, or the final medicine in this case, actually work.
So what's the official name for all this stuff? Well, the term is pharmaceutical aids. They're defined as inert, which just means they don't have a direct medicinal effect themselves. But, and this is a big but, they are absolutely essential for making sure the medicine does its job, from keeping it from going bad to just making sure a pill holds its shape. They really are the unsung heroes of your medicine cabinet.
Now, you can't just throw any old thing into a pill. These aids have to follow some really strict rules. They have to be non-toxic, they have to play nice with all the other ingredients, and they need to be stable. And this is the really important part. They have to meet the exact same super high-quality standards as the active drug itself. This is serious stuff.
So let's dive into the first big problem these aids solve. How do you make medicine easy to take? Because let's be real, if a medicine tastes horrible or looks weird, getting someone, especially a kid, to take it is basically impossible. It doesn't matter how great the drug is if it never gets taken.
And that's where our first group of hidden helpers comes in. Organoleptic agents. Yeah, I know, it's a fancy term, but all it really means is stuff that appeals to our senses. Our sight, our taste, our smell, and they basically do three big jobs: coloring, flavoring, and sweetening. First up, let's talk about color. You might think it's just about making a pill look nice, but it is a massive safety feature. Color helps you and me, especially if you're taking more than one medication, tell the difference between pills. It also helps drug makers make sure that every single pill in every single batch is exactly the same. That little blue pill is always that exact shade of blue, so you know you're getting the right thing every time. And you're not going to believe where some of these colors come from. For literally centuries, one of the most common red dyes has been made from the cochineal insect, found on cactuses in Peru. An insect! And that deep indigo blue, it can come from the indigo plant, one of the oldest dyes known to man. So there's a little piece of natural history right there in your medicine. Okay, so the medicine looks right, we can identify it, but we've got another huge problem. A lot of active drugs are just incredibly bitter. I mean, awful. How do you get past that? You can't exactly tell a sick kid to just suck it up. You have to fix the taste. And that brings us to the sweetening agents. They come in two main flavors, no pun intended. You've got your natural sweeteners, like regular sugar or xylitol, and then you have the heavy hitters, the artificial sweeteners. Both get the job done, but the artificial ones, well, they have some pretty amazing superpowers.
Let's start with saccharin. It's the oldest artificial sweetener out there, and it is, get this, a whopping 300 times sweeter than regular table sugar. That means you only need the tiniest, most microscopic amount to completely mask a bitter taste. But hold on, it gets crazier.
Meet neotame. This stuff is, and I am not exaggerating, up to 13,000 times sweeter than sugar. 13,000! That's a level of sweetness that's almost impossible to even imagine. So with these guys, you can make even the nastiest medicine taste okay without adding a single calorie. All right, so our medicine looks good and it tastes fine. But there's another enemy we have to fight: time. How do you make sure the medicine in your cabinet is just as good and just as safe on its last day as it was on its first? How do you stop it from spoiling? The answer is our next team of hidden helpers: preservatives. Their whole job is to act like a bodyguard for the medicine. They stop bad things from happening, and most importantly, they prevent nasty stuff like bacteria and mold from growing in there. This is especially crucial for things like cough syrups or eye drops. And just like our other aids, not just any preservative can make the cut. The perfect preservative has to be effective in super small doses, be stable, non-toxic, and it has to keep on working for the entire shelf life of the product. The science here has to be incredibly precise to keep both the drug and you safe.
So how do scientists pick the right one? Well, they tend to sort them in a couple of different ways. Sometimes it's by where they come from, natural versus synthetic. But the really cool way is by how they work, what's called their mechanism of action.
And this leads me to one of my all-time favorite science words. One type of preservative is called a chelating agent. So what does that mean? Well, the name actually comes from the Greek word for a crab's claw. And that's exactly what they do. They protect the drug by grabbing onto tiny metal particles that could make it go bad. They literally snatch them up in a little chemical claw and hold on tight. How cool is that? So as we wrap this up, it's pretty clear, right? These ingredients are so much more than just inactive fillers. They're more like active bodyguards, tastemakers, and stabilizers. They're essential partners that help the main drug do its job. The mission of these pharmaceutical aids really comes down to 4 things. They give us safety by helping us identify the right pill and stopping germs from growing. They give us palatability, which means we'll actually take the medicine. They provide stability, so it works from day 1 to day 1,000. And all of that together is what ensures the effectiveness of the drug itself. So here's my last thought for you. The next time you pick up a bottle of medicine and you see that long, tiny list, you won't just see a bunch of confusing words anymore. You'll see a story. A story about safety, a story about science, and a story about a whole team of hidden helpers all working together to help you get better. So what story will that list tell you now?